We will add the new points. We will change the concepts wherever requirement is there. Okay. Strategy. Strategy means what, guys? Plan. Other day we discussed about design pattern. Design patterns are bunch of rules. Design patterns are bunch of rules. Given by whom, guys? Bunch of rules, bunch of rules. Given as the best solution for recurring problems of application development. In Java, how many types of design patterns we come across? 2 types. Ganga 4 and JWE patterns. Ganga 4 and JWE pattern. So today we are going to discuss what, guys? Strategy design pattern. Most recommended design pattern in Spring application development is what? Strategy design pattern. Okay, strategy means plan. That means planning something for dependency management. Okay, guys. It is basically Ganga 4 pattern, but it will be used a lot in Spring applications while designing Spring Beans having dependency. Okay, we use this design pattern a lot while designing target and dependent Spring Beans, which are in dependency management. Yes or no, na? That means target and dependent. Target and dependent Spring Beans, guys. Target and dependent Spring Beans. Super. This design pattern says define classes of dependency management as loosely coupled interchangeable parts. That means we can change dependent class of target class without disturbing the source code of target class. Look at the point. What is the basic point, guys? Okay. You plan a strategy in such a fashion. Okay. Define the classes of dependency management as loosely coupled interchangeable parts. What do you mean by that? We can change from one dependent to another dependent without disturbing the source code of target class. Without disturbing the source code of target class. Listen, Flipkart is one target class. We have multiple courier services, DTDC, First Flight, DHL. I should be in a position to change from one courier service to another courier service without disturbing the source code of Flipkart target class. Without disturbing the source code of Flipkart target class. Is that clear, boss? Without disturbing the source code of target class. Are you understanding my statement? Okay, guys. To work with the strategy design pattern, we need to implement following 3 rules, guys. Rule number 1, rule number 2, rule number 3. What is rule number 1? Favor composition over inheritance. What do you mean by favor, boss? Prefer composition over inheritance. That's the number 1. Rule number 2. Always code to interfaces or abstract classes. That means don't code to concrete classes. Don't code to concrete classes. Are you getting my point, guys? Always code to interfaces or abstract classes. That means don't code to concrete classes. Yeah, this is to get loose coupling between target and dependent classes. What do you mean by loose coupling, boss? The degree of dependency is less between target and dependent class. I should be in a position to change one dependent class to another dependent class without disturbing the source code of target class. So prefer coding with interfaces and abstract classes. Rule number 3. Our code must be open for extension and must be closed for modification. Okay, everyone, can you write these 3 rules in the chat box? What are the 3 rules of strategy design pattern? Can you write in the chat box, guys? Can you write them in the chat box? What is okay? You want to get a new line in the chat box? Shift enter will give new line in the chat box. Number 1, favor inheritance compared to composition. Number 2, always code with interface and abstract classes. That means don't code to concrete classes. Rule number 3, our code must be open for extension and must be closed for modification. Our code must be open for extension and must be closed for modification. Got it, guys? So these are the 3 rules of strategy design pattern. So shall we go for rule number 1? Favor composition over inheritance process. Yeah, first one. Listen, class A, class B extends A. Extends A. Right, boss. This is called inheritance now, boss. Inheritance is also called as easy relationship. Why it is called easy relation? Class B is subclass of A. That's why easy relation. Class B is a subclass of A. That's why easy relationship. Come on, guys. Yeah, composition. Composition is what, guys? Has a relationship, guys. Class A, normal one. Class B is having the object of class A. Class B is having the object of class A, which is nothing but a property. Right, boss? In class B, class A class object is there as a property. Everyone getting my point there, guys? The object of B class has got the object of A class. Has got object of A class. Okay, here what is the relationship, guys? A class object, B class object. So your property of B class object pointing to A class object or not? Okay, Syed Samir, can you improve your core Java? You are taking string class property, right? String is what a class, Babu. String variable is ready to hold string class object or not? Study core Java properly, Syed Samir. Shame on you for asking this question at this level, right? You are asking this question means your core Java is very weak. Everyone look at the question asked by Syed Samir. Can we write object as a property, sir? You are asking this question means you have not observed first application properly. In wish message generator, what is the property we have taken? Date time. What is the type of the property? Local date time, right? What it is going to hold after injection? Object of local date time. Object of local date time. Syed Samir, can you think about rejoining in core Java once again? Because you are not able to recognize the one that you have already used in the first application. Forget about your core Java. Muddy fellow, dirty fellow. Join core Java properly. How shamelessly asking, can we take object as the property? What you have done in first application, tell me. Guys, core Java is very, very important. Okay, anyone is having such doubts? Is there any rule? Property should be simple data type? No, property can be of any data type. String class properties you are taking now. What is string in core Java? Class. Any class property you can take. If one class is having another class object as the property, that is called composition, right? Composition. Sir, why it is called a has-a relationship? Can you tell me why it is called has-a relationship? B class object is has A class object. B class object has A class object. Having has A class object. Yes, sir, my boss? Sir, this is nice, sir. But when should I go for composition? When should I go for inheritance? When should we go for inheritance? When should we go for composition? Very simple, Rabab. If class 1 wants to use all the properties of class 2, all the properties and methods of class 2, then prefer going for inheritance. Nothing but is a relationship. Nothing but is a relationship. Okay. If class 1 wants to use all the properties and methods of class 2, then go for inheritance between class 1 and class 2. Example, Rababu. Thread creation. Our class wants to use entire properties and methods of thread class. Array, how to create a thread? Take a class extending from thread, predefined class thread. In that process, we want to use all the properties and methods of thread class or not? All the properties and methods of threads are not. Okay, those you know advanced Java. Those you know advanced Java, right? Our servlet component creation. Our class wants to use entire data and methods of generic servlet class, HTTP servlet class. That time also we are going for inheritance or not? If one class wants to use entire properties and methods of other class, then prefer going for inheritance. Right, boss? Is a relationship. No, guys. If class 1 wants to use specific properties and methods of class 2, then go for composition between class 1 and class 2. Then go for composition between class 1 and class 2, guys. Then prefer using composition between class 1 and class 2, guys. Right, boss. Has a relationship. While designing target and dependent classes of dependency management. Tell me, guys. Tell me. When I inject to local date time class object to wish message generator class object, am I using all the methods and properties of local date time in wish message generator? No. Few properties and few methods of local date time I am using in wish message generator. Right now, boss? We are using only off method. We are using only now method. We are using only get hours method. We are using only get month method. Aisa no na, boss. Next, when we go for this composition, while bringing the effect of multiple inheritance using classes, tell me, multiple inheritance using classes is possible? No, but we can indirectly bring the effect of multiple inheritance using composition. Yes, na, boss? Suppose private CC is equal to new CF. Now, object of A, object of B is having A class object and B class object. What do you say, guys? Object of B is having A class object and B class object. What do you say, boss? Is that clear? Object of A is having A class object and B class object. Super, guys. So I think you got a clarity. If one class wants to use all the properties and methods of another class, go for inheritance. If one class wants to use few properties and methods of another class, go for composition. Go for composition. Now listen. Limitations of inheritance. Overall problems with inheritance, Rababu. Why we should go for composition, right? Some programming languages like Java, does it, boss? With inheritance, the code becomes fragile. Fragile. Fragile means easily breakable. The code becomes fragile. That means easily breakable. Super. With inheritance, unit testing of code becomes complex. With inheritance, the unit testing of code becomes complex, boss. The unit testing of code becomes complex. I want reply from you people, guys. One by one, we'll understand. These are the problems, guys. Solution is also through composition. Solution for every problem, solution is there through composition. That's why we should prefer using composition. Okay, while implementing strategy design pattern, while making classes as target and dependent classes, while taking the classes as a target and dependent classes. Come on, guys. Convinced, my dear. Got the point, my dear. Limitations of inheritance. Some programming languages does not support inheritance. With inheritance, code becomes fragile. Fragile means what? Easily breakable. Okay. With inheritance, the unit testing of code becomes complex. Unit testing means programmer testing is on own. Programmer testing on his own piece of code is called unit testing. Programmer's testing on his own piece of code is called unit testing. Right now, boss? Okay, guys. First point, guys. Some programming languages does not support what? Multiple inheritance. Class A, class B. Class C extends A comma B. Allowed, not allowed? Allowed, not allowed? Not allowed. Look at the composition. Solution using composition. Class A, class B. Super. Class C. Private A is equal to new A of. Private B is equal to new A of. Yes or no, na, boss? Private A is equal to new A of. Private BB is equal to new B of. So solution is coming through composition, na, boss? Solution is coming. Indirectly, we are bringing the effect of multiple inheritance. Indirectly, we are bringing the effect of multiple inheritance. Indirectly, we are bringing the effect of multiple inheritance. Indirectly, we are bringing the effect of multiple inheritance. Super, guys. Tell me next one. With inheritance, the code becomes fragile. With inheritance, the code becomes fragile. Fragile means what, guys? Easily breakable. Listen this one carefully. Listen this one carefully. Kranti Kumar, can you concentrate on current topic? Lots of people are doing this mistake. They're catching one word, one letter, and they stop listening the entire class. I request everyone to concentrate on the explanation. Don't run after 1, 2 words. Yes, na, boss? If you have such things, wait for 5 to 10 minutes discussion, because I believe most of your doubts will be clarified in next 5 to 10 minutes discussion. Yes or no, na? Still not covered? Ask once. If I ignore, write down on the paper, ask me at the end. Write down on the paper, ask me at the end. I want you people to show some maturity. Okay, guys. Now listen, everyone. Everyone, please focus on the problem. Class A, forget about float. Return type is int. M1 return type is int. Returning 100. Returning 100. Forget about the float, guys. Class B extends A, overriding the M1, returning 1000. Class C extending B. Class D extending B. Class E extending B. Okay, extending from class B, how many classes are there, guys? Extending from class B, how many classes are there? 3 classes are there. Pankaj, why don't you jump into the Venkat? Why don't you jump into the drainage of in front of your home? You are not able to count how many classes are there extending from B. What is the use of completing core Java? Please jump into the drain that is there in front of your home. Don't waste the normal water. How many classes are there extending from B, guys? 1, 2, 3. Right? How many classes are there extending from A? 1 is there. Okay, now listen. Now listen carefully. Listen carefully. Let us assume in class A, I changed the return type from int to float. I changed the return type from int to float. Tell me, guys, it is overridden method. It is overridden method, na boss? Say something, my dear. Here also signature should be changed. Suppose here also M1 is overridden. There also signature should be changed. There also signature should be changed. There also signature should be changed. That means if we modify the signature of topmost class in the inheritance hierarchy, topmost class in the inheritance hierarchy or root class of inheritance hierarchy, it will disturb all the classes that are there in the down hierarchy. That means code becomes easily breakable or not. Code become fragile or not. Fragile. Fragile means fragile or fragile, one and the same. Fragile or fragile. Very sensitive code or not. It is like constructing building by using playing cards. You disturb one playing card, entire building will be collapsed or not. You disturb one card, entire building will be collapsed or not. Okay, listen carefully. In java.lang.object class, the signature of the methods will never be disturbed. Whatever they have given in the initial release of Java, they will maintain as it is. They may add 1 to extra methods. They may add 1 to extra method, but they never disturb existing methods. Why, sir? That is the topmost class in the inheritance hierarchy. If one method signature is disturbed, entire Java will be collapsed. Yes or no? Why? Extending from that class, so many predefined classes, user-defined classes, third-party classes, third-party vendor-supplied classes are there. If you disturb one class, one method signature, entire Java system will be collapsed. Very danger or not? Very danger or not? If we modify return type of M1 method from int to float, then all the classes that are there in the inheritance hierarchy of class A will be disturbed. That means the classes placed in the inheritance hierarchy having fragile behavior, that means easily breakable behavior. That means easily breakable behavior. Easily breakable behavior. Yeah, solution using composition. Solution using composition. Class A, class B. Class A, class B in which relationship, guys? Has a relationship. Yes, na? Class A, class B in which relationship? Composition, no inheritance. So M1 becomes another method of class B in overridden method. M1 becomes overridden method, another method of class B. Another method. It is not overridden method. When inheritance is there, then only overriding will be there. Now look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. I changed the return type of M1 method in A class from float into to float. Tell me, that will disturb only this line. That will disturb only this line. Understanding my statement? Okay, that line can be changed. That line can be changed off. Math dot round off A dot M1 or typecast to integer. Or typecast to integer. Okay, this line, if we write like this, problem is nullified to this method level. Is it going to disturb other classes that are extending from B, guys? Is it going to disturb this change? Is going to disturb other classes that are extending from B, guys? No. Why? Why? The relationship between A and B is what? Composition. I am not saying problem is not there, but problem is simplified to one level. The problem is simplified to one level. Yes or no? Na? The problem is very much simplified to one level. Are you understanding my statement? Problem is simplified to only this line, guys. The problem is simplified to only this line. Once again, see the code. Class A. First, assume return type is integer. Return value 100. Class B, composition M1. Okay, first this is there. Int x is equal to A dot M1. Int x is equal to A dot M1. Cut it. A dot M1. Please remember. Please remember. Int x is equal to A dot M1. Okay. Super. What is the relation between class A and class B? Composition. Super. Extending from B, how many classes are there? 3 classes are there. Super, guys. Okay. I changed return type into to float, guys. Some float value is returned. So when you write this line as it is, problem na? So only this line should be removed. Only this line should be removed. In that place, we have to write this one. In that place, we have to write this one. So that means only this line has to be disturbed. Remaining entire thing will be same na, boss? Especially the classes extending from class B are disturbed, boss? The classes extending from class B are disturbed, boss? Not disturbed. So here also problem is there, but problem is specific to one line. Problem is centralized to one line. Problem is not at all centralized, not at all propagated to other classes. Not at all propagated to other classes. What do you say, boss? Not at all propagated to other classes. Problem is very much centralized to one line. What do you say, boss? Understanding my statement? Everyone getting my point, guys? Come on. And if you don't know core Java, I'm helpless, Rabab. If you don't know core Java, I'm helpless. Once again, check it out. Control Z. This is the original code, guys. This is the original type. Math.round will round down, will round up the value. It will round the value to nearest integer. 100.3 na? Okay. 100.3 gives 100. 100.7 gives 101. That's the round value function. This is the original code. One original code is there. What happened? When I change M1 return type from int to float, this line will be disturbed or not? Can we store float value in the integer variable? Gives error, right? This line is disturbed. This line is disturbed. Now remove this line. In that place, what is the line you have to keep? This one. What is the alternate code you have to put? Either this or this. Tell me. Float value I am converting into integer stored into X variable. Okay, float value I am typecasting integer converted into X variable. So problem is only in this line. By changing that code, remove this code and write this code, right? Problem is solved. Is there any disturbance to other classes that are extending from B? Is there any disturbance to other classes that are using this? Say something, my dear. So that means I'm not saying composition is not having problem, but problem is centralized to single line only. It is not disturbing the classes that are there in the hierarchy. So that means somewhat better or not? Somewhat better or not? Come on, Mr. Aman. Understood or not? Not saying problem is completely solved. Problem is not completely solved, right? Problem is restricted to one line. If you can modify that one line code, your problem is gone, right? Okay, see the point here? Here B is not the subclass A. So M1 is not overridden method. It is just a direct method of class B. If M1 method return type in class A is changed to float. Is changed to float, guys. From int. Then only one line in class B will be disturbed. Only one line in class B disturbed, right, boss? Only one line in class B where that M1 is called. On class A object will be disturbed. On class A object will be disturbed. And the subclasses of B will not be disturbed. This indicates code is not fragile or that means not easily breakable. Code is not fragile, not easily breakable. Yes or no, boss? Whatever I have explained, same thing is there in the written statement. Okay, guys. First problem solution, composition. Second problem, best way of restricting the problem to 1-2 lines, composition. Third one, with inheritance, unit testing of code becomes very complex. Okay, guys. Ankit, if that is a string, I should say your designing issues are there. I should say you should have designing issues. We can solve the problem, whatever we are there, that is there in control, right? And moreover, you observe, okay, int becomes float becomes int, but int never becomes string. Try to use your common sense. As part of improvisation, int value may become float value may become int value, right? Float may become double may become float. Within the numeric only improvisations will be there. Int to string to user defined class. That I am leaving to your common sense. Okay, you are a young boy. You may become middle-aged man, old man, but you never become a girl, right? You never become a girl. Any improvisation, any changes in your life, do you become girl? Chances are very, very less. Unless until you want to become transgender, right? Unless until you want to become transgender. That is extreme case. Extreme case cannot be handled, boss. Extreme cases cannot be handled here. I hope you got the right answer. Because boy becoming transgender is against of nature. So against of nature cases cannot be handled in a simple manner. That needs another solution. That needs another solution or redesigning of the code. Yes or no, na boss? Super. So shall we get into the next level? Okay. Yeah. What is unit testing, guys? Programmer testing on his own piece of code is called unit test. My code test is done by me. That is called unit testing. I don't test entire project, guys. What code I have written, I will test it. Sir, why should I test? And if I don't test my code, how can I submit the code? Before submitting code, I have to test it now, boss. Whether it is working or not. What we do in testing, sir? Very simple. We compare expected results with actual results. And before writing code, for this input, this output should come like this, we plan now. Like this, some planning will be there. Yeah. Okay. What we are expecting is expected result. When code is executed, what results came? What results came? They are called what? Actual results. If both are matched, test result is positive. Not matched, test result is negative. But listen, we will test with only one set of examples or lots of examples. We will test with one set of input values or multiple sets of input values. Multiple sets of input values, right? Okay. Okay. Comparing each expected result with each expected result with each actual result is called one test case. When you have a code, we will try to write multiple test cases with multiple sets of input values, comparing their actual results with expected results. Comparing their actual results with expected results. Suppose your application is having login, boss. Login is there. Okay, how many test cases I should write, guys? Login with valid credential, then I should get success. Login with invalid credentials, then I should get failure. Login with no credential, then I should get exception. All the three things should happen now, boss. So with positive inputs, with negative inputs, with no inputs. I have to test my code in all three angles, boss. Because these are the three things people can do, right? People may log in with the right credentials, right username, password. People may log in with wrong credential, wrong username, password. Or people may try with no credential. That also I should test, boss. Yes, boss. Check it out. The programmer's testing on his own piece of code is called unit testing. Unit testing. In any testing, the expected results will be compared with actual results. If both results are matched, then we can say test results are positive. Otherwise, we can say test results are negative. Note. We generally use a JUnit tool to perform unit testing. And we have one tool, guys. It's a part of our course. I will share the videos and conduct the classes on this. There is a tool. How ID is there to write the code. Similarly, for testing, unit testing also, there is a tool. We generally use JUnit tool to perform unit testing. Look at the problem with inheritance, guys. Look at the problem with inheritance. Class A is having how many methods? 1, 2. Class B is extending from A. How many methods are there? 2. Total, how many methods are there in class A, class B together? 4 methods, right? Suppose I decided to do unit testing on class B, boss. I decided to do unit testing on class B. Tell me, total how many methods I should test, guys? Not only direct methods of class B, even inherited methods also. Even inherited methods also I should test now, boss. Even the inherited methods also I should test. What do you say, boss? Alexa, activate balcony central light. Okay, actually I can automate this process, guys. Daily at what is the time? 6:30, 6:20. Lights should be switched on automatically. Okay, tomorrow I will create that and will show. I need not to ask every day, switch on lights, switch on lights. This can be automated. I'll show. Tomorrow you'll feel that. Like our alarm. Scheduling is possible in IoT. Tell me, guys, while performing unit testing on class B, not only direct methods of class B should be unit tested, even inherited methods also should be unit tested now, boss. Why? Using object of class B, not only we can call M1, M3, M4 method, we can also call, guys, we can also call M1, M2 methods, right? Suppose 10 classes are there in the inheritance hierarchy. On last class object, you want to do unit testing. On the object of last class, you want to do unit testing. While performing unit testing on B class, we need to write test cases or test plans. Test cases are test plans, right, boss? Comparing actual results with expected results. Not only for the methods of B class, also for the inherited methods of A class. Not only for the methods of B class, also for the inherited methods of A class. This improves burden on the programmer. I think you know burden means work, more work. You know what do you mean by burden, boss? It's more work on the program. This improves the burden on the programmer. Burden means more work on the program. More work on the programmer, boss. Yeah, look at the solution. Look at the composition. Now, between class A, class B, what is there? Composition is there. Class A, class B, what is there? Composition, right? Are you listening my statement, guys? Class A, class B, what is there? Composition is there. M3, M4. Using class B, I can invoke only class B methods. I can invoke only class B methods. Can I, using object of class B, can I invoke class A methods? Maybe you may call class A methods in the methods of class B. Check it out. A.M2. M2 method is called here. But tell me, if I do unit testing, how many methods I should unit test, guys? 2 methods or 4 methods are? Only 2 methods. And one more interesting part, you know, if you do unit testing of M4 method, if you are doing unit testing of M4 method, right? If you are doing unit testing of M4 method, Indirectly, M2 method also unit tested, right? Why? Because the result given by M4 method is also using result of M2 method. Do I need to do separate unit testing of M2 method, guys? No. I have to do unit testing of M3, M4 only. More interestingly, when I do unit testing of M4, indirectly M2 is unit tested. Why? Because M2 is called in M4 method. Right now, boss? So this reduces burden on the programmer or not. Suppose you are trying to test the 10th class which is there in the composition, guys. So only 10th class methods you have to test. There is no need of testing remaining 9 classes that are there in what? Composition relationship. Yes or no? Na? So this definitely reduce burden on the programmer or not? What do you say, boss? Convinced or not? Here, while doing unit testing on B class, we need to write test cases only for B class methods and no need of testing methods of A class. That means the burden on the programmer is reduced. The burden on the programmer is reduced. Understanding my point? Okay. Test case is a test plan. Test case is a test plan where the actual results of certain input will be tested with certain input with certain expected results. Test case is a test plan where the actual results of certain inputs will be tested with certain expected results. Certain expected results. Everyone getting my point there, guys? Okay, so far we discussed rule number 1 of strategy design pattern, right, boss? Favor composition over inheritance. I hope you got the revision of core Java, boss. Core Java is everywhere, right? So I think while designing our first application, while local date and wish message generator are taken in composition, I hope you are convinced, guys. I hope you are convinced, my dear. Why we are not taking classes of dependency management, target and dependent classes? Why we are not mentioning target and dependent classes? Why we are not mentioning target and dependent classes? Come on, guys. In inheritance, why are you taking target and dependent classes in the composition? Did you convince, guys? Other day I just taken like that, but today you got a clarity, boss. What is rule number 2, guys? Always code to interfaces or abstract classes. That means don't code to concrete classes. Array, this is loose coupling and tight coupling related discussion, Rabab. Okay, shall we understand what is tight coupling, what is loose coupling, boss? What is tight coupling, what is loose coupling? What is tight coupling? Tell me. Tight coupling. If the degree of dependency is more, if the degree of dependency is more between two classes, then we can say they are tightly coupled classes. We can say they are tightly coupled classes. Next, loose coupling, boss. If the degree of dependency is less between two classes, then we can say they are loosely coupled classes. Then we can say they are loosely coupled classes. Okay, guys. Example, real life example, guys. CPU box and console. Tightly coupled or loosely coupled? Can we operate the computer, I mean to say CPU box without console? Fan and switch. Fan and switch. Can we control the fan without switch? Directly, indirectly, switch is required or not required? Directly, indirectly, switch is required or not required? Super, guys. Tell me next one. Loosely coupled components, guys. Loosely coupled component. TV and remote. Can we operate the TV without remote? Actually possible. Why you know? Why you know? Through mobile we can operate. Nowadays, for the TV only direct controls will be there. People might have forgotten, but it's possible, right? Okay. TV and remote. Okay, for that. TV unit itself, some buttons will be there, guys. For TV unit itself, some buttons will be there. Okay. Roti and curry. Can you take curry without can you take roti without curry? Possible. Possible. Some people prefer taking roti with curry. Some people prefer taking roti without curry. Right, boss? Yes. Now listen. Look at the problem. Tight coupling problem you observe. Tight coupling problem you observe. Target class, guys. Dependent class. First DTDC, next blue dot. Deliver method is there. Here also deliver method is there. These are courier companies, na? They deliver the products, right? These are courier companies. That's why they deliver the products. Okay. Now listen. Public class Flipkart. Private DTDC is equal to new DTDC of. Private DTDC is equal to new DTDC. Everyone understanding? Super. Here I created DTDC class object was, and I have started using in the shopping method. If Flipkart is having shopping method, where items are coming, prices are coming. Where items are coming and prices are coming. Here is my logic to calculate the bill amount, guys. Here is my logic to calculate the bill amount, guys. DTDC dot deliver, blue dot deliver. DTDC dot deliver, blue dot deliver. Everyone getting my point? Okay, now listen. Right now DTDC. I did not like the DTDC services, boss. I removed that. I have created object for blue dot. And I'm using, okay. This also I removed. I'm using what? Blue dot related object. But problem is what, guys? What is the problem here? Tell me. Whenever I want to change from DTDC to blue dot or blue dot to DTDC, I am modifying the source code of Flipkart or not? I am modifying the source code of Flipkart or not? I want reply. Modifying the source code of Flipkart or not? Modifying the source code of Flipkart or not? Definitely I am modifying the source code of Flipkart. No second thought in that. No second thought in that. Definitely, I'm modifying the source code of Flipkart. What do you say, guys? Is it not really happening or not? Here, that means definitely tight coupling is coming or not. It is showing tight coupling or loose coupling. Degree of dependency is more, right? Tight coupling problem. Here is my tight coupling problem, Rabab. Here the target and dependent classes are in tight coupling. That means the degree of dependency between them is more. If you want to change courier service from DTDC to Blue Dart or reverse, then we need to modify the source code of Flipkart. This is nothing but tight coupling or not. Right now, I have designed Flipkart to use one courier service at a time. Right now, I have designed Flipkart to use one courier service at a time. So the degree of dependency is more now, boss. Solution using interfaces. Okay, now listen. I'll make DTDC Blue Dart other courier service classes implementing common interface. DTDC implements courier interface. Blue Dart implements courier interface. DHL implements courier interface. Right, boss? Right, boss? Now, in Flipkart class, I can take reference variable property of type courier na. Property of type courier interface. In Flipkart, I can take has a property of type courier interface. Yes. Now listen. So once I take property of type courier interface, I can inject with what? DTDC object or Blue Dart object or X object or Y object or Z object, right? I can inject with any choice object or not. I can inject with any choice, any object of our choice or not. That too without modifying code. From outside I can inject. See my designing. Courier, public class courier, declaration of the method. Please observe very carefully. Dependent class 1, DTDC implementing courier interface. Blue Dart implementing courier interface. DTDC implementing courier interface. Private courier. Private courier. Here is my setter method. I'm not assigning any object directly here. So one setter method is taken. Come on. So this setter method can assign data to this one now, boss, and regular shopping method and courier.deliver. Courier.deliver. Come on, guys. All dependent classes are implementing what? Common interface. Common interface reference variable is taken as a property. One setter method is given so that I can assign my choice object to this property. And in the shopping method, regular deliver method is used. Okay, from any main class, boss. In any main class, check it out. First target class object is created. Don't think about Spring now. Think about core Java. DTDC class object is created. By calling setter method, DTDC object is assigned to Flipkart object na, boss. By calling setter method, DTDC object is assigned to Flipkart object. Now, shopping method is going to use DTDC object or not? Shopping method is going to use DTDC object. What do you say, boss? This is execution one. I didn't like the services of DTDC, Rababu. Then what I am doing? Flipkart dot set courier, new Blue Dart off. To the set courier method, I passed what class object? Blue Dart class object. Again, I am calling shopping method. Again, I am calling shopping method. Don't worry about the shopping method code, guys. Now, without touching the source code of Flipkart, first I used what, guys? DTDC. Next, I used what? Blue Dart. Am I touching the source code, guys? Am I touching the source code of Flipkart class? Am I disturbing the source code of Flipkart class anywhere? It's because of interfaces, na boss. This are able to do because of interfaces. Say something, my dear. Is it happening purely because of interfaces? What do you say? In core Java, you might have heard interfaces are given for loose coupling. Interfaces are given for loose coupling. Now it is being proved or not? Runtime polymorphism, loose coupling. You might have heard this kind of words, guys. Once again, see the code. In the main class, I created DTDC object and we assign DTDC object to Flipkart object. That means Flipkart is now enjoying DTDC services. I did not like DTDC services. I created blue dot object assigned to Flipkart object. Assigned to Flipkart object. Now Flipkart is enjoying blue dot services or not? But while changing DTDC to blue dot to DTDC, am I disturbing the source code? Am I disturbing the source code? I'm not disturbing the source code anywhere. Check it out. Here the target and dependent classes are loosely coupled classes. That means degree of dependency is very less. We can change from one courier service to another courier service, blue dot to DTDC and vice versa, without touching the source code of target class. Because of what? Interface type courier. Courier has a property that we have taken. Entire credit goes to what? As a property type, which is a courier service, na boss? Yeah, I think now you understood the meaning of always code to interfaces. That means don't code to concrete classes, right now, boss? Okay, since the discussion has come, concrete class means normal class for which object is created. Abstract class, incomplete class for which object creation is not possible. Interface contains only method declarations for which object creation is not possible. For abstract class and interfaces, object creation is possible, guys. Method declaration up to Java 7 only. Up to Java 7 only method declarations are possible. Java 8 onwards, we can keep what? Static methods and default methods in interfaces, right? Java 8 onwards. We can keep method, we can keep static or default method definition. Static or default method definitions in the interfaces. Super, guys. Hayat, in method, what can you write other methods? No, na boss. Okay, guys. Tell me, what is the rule number 3 of strategy design pattern? Our code must be open for extension and must be closed for modification. Okay. Must be open for extension. What do you mean by must be open for extension? Already I am dealing with 2 courier companies. I should be in a position to use 3rd, 4th, 5th courier companies or not. I should be in a position to use 3rd, 4th, 5th courier companies or not. Yes or no, no. Yes or no, no. That means our code must be open for extension and must be closed for modification. Tell me, my dear, what do you mean by must be closed for modification? Directly, indirectly, people should not be in a position to modify the logics of the methods. Should not be in a position to modify the logics of the methods by writing subclasses, by overriding methods. How can we stop method overriding, boss? How can we stop method overriding, boss? By taking methods as final methods, or by making classes as final classes? If I take super class as final class, can we develop subclasses for them? No subclasses means no overriding. No overriding means no question of changing logics. Okay, very simple, boss. Strategy design pattern rule number 3 is extension of rule number 2. While designing classes, if you take the classes as final classes or methods as final methods, classes as final classes or methods as final methods, come on, guys. Our code becomes closed for modification indirectly, or our code becomes closed for modification indirectly or not? Our code becomes closed for modification indirectly or not? I want reply. Our code becomes closed for modification indirectly. What do you say, guys? That's the one thing, guys. Now listen. If we implement strategy DP rule number 2 perfectly, then we can say our code is open for extension, because we can add more dependent classes by implementing common interface. We can take more dependent classes like DHL, first flight, and etc. as the courier classes, implementing common courier interface. Convinced, guys? Implementing the common courier interface. By taking both target and dependent classes as final classes, we can make our code closed for modification, because we cannot develop subclasses for final classes and we cannot override final class methods in subclasses. Yes, sir, no, na, boss. So indirectly our code is closed for modification, na, boss. Indirectly our code is closed for modification, na, boss. So that means rule number 2 with a small modification. Rule number 3 is ready. Rule number 2 with a small modification. Can we say rule number 3 is ready? Courier interface, regular one. Final class. Final class. Final class. Aman Kumar. When you see, guys, superclass method is overridden in subclass mean. In subclass method, we write a new logics. So indirectly, you are modifying the code now. Aman, your core Java is weak. Overriding means what? Redefinition. Redefinition means what? New logic, right? Indirectly, we are modifying the logic now, boss. M1 method is having some logic in superclass. Same M1 method. Same M1 method. We are overriding in the subclass with some other logic. So indirectly, you are modifying the logics of M1 na. Without knowing this, Aman Kumar, you completed core Java. Are you not feeling shame? Overriding means changing the logics. Redefining the logics means what? Sachin, if class is final, automatically methods are final, muddy fellow. Sachin is asking for innocent question. All these questions because of very poor core Java knowledge. And if class is final, can we develop subclass for it? No. Without subclasses, can you override them logics? I am leaving to your common sense, Sachin. You kept a name of the great cricketer, but you are not showing any maturity of that cricketer. When class is final, can we write subclass for the final classes? Sachin, I want reply from you. No. Without subclasses, can you override the methods? Then what? If class is final, that is enough to stop the modifications. Right, guys? Tell me here. Final. Your target class is also final. So by taking class as final, we kept our code closed. We made our code closed for modification. We made our code closed for modification. What do you say, guys? Perfect. Now listen. But earlier, how many courier services are there? DTDC, Blue Dot. Now I am adding new courier service, DHL. I am adding new courier service, First Flight. That means our code is open for enhancement. Our code is open for extension. Our code is open for extension. Interfaces are helping for extension. Final classes are helping for closing the modification. Final classes are helping for closing the code for modification. Interfaces are helping us. Come on. Okay. Chandan Kumar, send your screenshot. I will give the reply there. Understood every line of your explanation topic, sir. Thank you. Yeah, interfaces makes our code open for extension. Final classes makes our code for closed for modification. Makes our code closed for modification. And when this error came, I have given some solution. What is that? Create a fresh project without creating modules, number one. Number two, still problem is not solved. Clean the code. Restart the Eclipse IDE. Still not solved, reinstall the Eclipse IDE. This problem came because while creating project